Hey everyone, welcome to Co-Medicine. I'm your host, Dr. Sarah Boston, and our closer for this season is Kim Kerley. And I love this episode because I love Kim. She's very special. She is a teacher. She's a social worker. She's a stand-up comedian. She has a special on Dry Bar, which is also an album on Spotify. She's an actor. Oh, I didn't even get to talk to about all the things she is because she's so many things. She's based in San Antonio. She's had a really incredible life. We are going to get into it. It started really young for her. She was homeless at the age of 14, but somehow she's managed to do all these things and stay positive. She's just a beautiful person inside and out, and I know you're going to love this chat with Kim Kerley. Hey everybody, welcome to Co-Medicine. We are so excited to have Kim Kerley here for our last episode of season 4.
Oh.
Welcome, Kim. Not our last episode ever.
Wow.
Just our last one.
I know, but the last episode of the season. I feel like I'm a that's awesome.
Yeah, headliner. Well, welcome. You are a stand-up comedian, an actor, author, and a licensed therapist. Or do you like to say licensed therapist or social worker?
Well, I say master's in counseling because I don't have my LPC, but I do practice. I do use my counseling degree. So I'll put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Well, I like to start the podcast with everyone's origin stories. I usually start career, but I think if it's okay with you, I want to go a little further back because I think part of your origin story is started when you were a teenager. So as much as you're comfortable, can you talk about that?
The Wayback Machine.
Yeah.
That is Bullwinkle. No, the way. Gee, Rocky. Yeah, I'm probably doing what I'm doing because of my upbringing, which stopped at age 14. So mom and dad divorced. Mom was neurotic, I think. She went through a hard time, would not forgive him. It was just really, really sad. Then my brother died at the age of 16 on his 16th birthday. I was 11. So by the time I was 13, 14 years old, she was just done. She would just go into the back bedroom. I wasn't raised. I had no food. I had no clothes. I mean, it was just complete 100% neglect. I know neglect now when I see it. I didn't know that's what was happening when I was younger. I was angry. I was really mad. But she pointed to the door one day when I was 14 and she said, "Get out." And so I did. And that was that. I stayed with friends that would take me in. It was really crazy because let's go back. That's 1974, 1975, all this was happening. And people didn't really call CPS or say this girl needs to be taken care of. People, oh, okay, she can stay for a little while. And I had this one family that took me in for a school year. Wow. So it was one of my best friends. So I was there, but understand, I was a guest the whole time. And then another family took me in my junior year. By the end of the junior year, it's like, bye. It's a lot. I was a teenage girl, and this was a couple, and they had a daughter, and she's still a friend of mine. And they were wonderful. And one of the things I did is I gleaned so much from the people that gave to me. I mean, I would not be here today if people just weren't so amazing and just looked at me and said, "I'll help you. And I'll be nice to you, and I'll feed you." I'd go through the line at the school, and the ladies in the school cafeteria knew about me, and they would give me extra.
Aww.
That was the only time I ate, and you hear about those things, right?
Yeah.
So that was in the 1970s. And what that did, and I got to tell you, even the whole time I was going through that, I didn't have a sense of, oh my gosh. I wasn't, I put on this suit of armor and I said, I know I'm better than this and I'm going to do things and I'm going to be somebody. So I tell people, for some strange reason, I just thought I was special. I just always thought I was all that in a bag of chips. I'm going to be special. One of the things that I've done is I've gone and I've talked to different kids in schools, at-risk students. So I've been a speaker, I'm a motivational speaker in schools, and I'll ask that question, who in here thinks they're special? And every night, I'll have a whole bunch of kids just sitting there, hundreds of kids, and a couple of hands will go up and then they'll look around and put their hands down. And I'm going, and so my message is that for some reason, I was just given the gift. And I'm sure my mom and dad did something positive, when I was younger that I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I just felt I was special. I had something. I knew I was intelligent. We know who we are in third grade, right?
Yeah.
Let's go back to third grade.
Yeah.
That's when all the things start changing. We notice the differences. We know who the better reader is, who has the better handwriting, who's faster. So I was really blessed. In third grade, I could run really fast and I was smart. So as I got older, I was really intelligent in school, and that helped.
Yeah.
But understand, so by the time I was in seventh grade, my world had fallen apart.
Yeah.
So when I went to college, And the reason why I went to college is I'd meet people that had the college education. And I would immediately think, well, if they can do it, I can do it. I'll figure it out. I was like Jethro from the Beverly Hillbillies. I had a 6th grade education is how I felt when it came to math and stuff, because I understand I was in survival mode in school.
Yeah.
And I don't remember learning. I had the type of mind that I could, okay, if it's English class, I could go sit down in English class. I could listen to it. I could read a little bit, take the test and make 100. That was me. But did I retain the information? Probably not, right?
Yeah.
If I had a list of words I had to study, I could literally look at the page, look down, study, I'd get past. And that's how I functioned.
Yeah.
So I went to college. It's different.
It's different. Yeah. Yeah.
I did all right in college and built up the self-esteem that was probably lacking in some areas. And by the time I was 36, I had been told over and over again, you are so funny. You are so funny. You are just hilarious. And I used humor all the time. When I was younger, that was my defense, right? But I was good at it. I would go to parties and people go, oh, thank goodness you're here. Start talking to people.
I feel like that about you. So I get that. Yeah. I felt like that the first time I started talking to you. I was like, oh, I love talking to her.
Get in there and start this party. So yeah, I was given a gift from a friend. His name is George Richards. He said he was a friend of my brother's, 9 years older than me. And he gave me a gift on my 35th birthday of comedy lessons.
Oh,
so in
cool.
Austin, it was in Austin, Texas, but I didn't do them until I was almost 36.
Okay.
And so I went on stage for the first time when I was 36 years old. And at that point, never got off stage. It was, I don't know about you, but comedy is like a calling. And then once it gets a hold of you, it grabs you.
Yeah. I say it's like a
You
drug.
gotta do this.
But calling is sounds
Get on
sounds
stage,
nicer.
make people laugh.
Yeah. It is wonderful. And yeah, I think a lot of comedians share that, even if it was just like this little 5-minute thing you did, but just that feeling of making people laugh. It's so, I don't know, addictive or a calling, one of the two or both.
I think it's a little bit of a calling.
Yeah.
And it's been almost, okay, so it's been almost 30 years. Yeah, I would say it's more of I just have to.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. And so, life happens and I didn't get the sitcom and I've had some really great things occur, but I still want to get on stage and I still want to write jokes. And I just did a great show at the Empire Theater here in San Antonio, which is a wonderful, wonderful theater with some of my friends. And we called it the San Antonio Legends. And usually you're a legend if you're dead or you retire. So I was wondering, is this my last show? But it was people that I'd known since I started, but they were all a lot younger than me. Well, there was one that was only 10 years younger than me. But they were all like young men, and I was the only female on the bill. But that's how it was when I started. When I started in San Antonio, there was only 2 females that were in comedy. Now they're everywhere, so that's great. But
Are they?
It was
Are they everywhere, Kim? Or are there just, or is there just 1 or 2? And I don't know. Anyway,
there's one over here. So the way I feel about women comics,
Yeah.
I met Brett Butler. Remember Brett Butler? She would always do comedy and she'd use big words. Do you know who she is, Brett Butler?
I don't. I'll look her
Okay,
up.
so she was hot in the 80s and 90s,
Okay.
and she was in The Leftovers not too long ago, but she had come on my radio show because I used to do morning radio. And so I asked her if I could do 5 minutes. That's a comic thing. Hey, can I do 5 minutes? That was my way of saying, I would like for you to see what I can do.
Yeah.
Her response to me was, I don't allow females on my stage. And I went, and so I said to her, you're on my show right now. I turned off. I said, we're the number 2 show in San Antonio. I couldn't beat Lyle and Han. So I said, we're the number 2 show. And you're not going to, that was cool. I told her, I liked you until right now. I'm kind of upset now.
What was her reasoning for that?
She said that women are dirty.
That's absurd. I'm glad I don't know who she was. That's an absurd thing to say.
I'm sure she's nice, but she just wouldn't let me on. Victoria Jackson let me do 5 minutes. She was very nice. And she wrote notes. And she gave them to me.
That's okay.
I was appreciative.
I don't mind a note. I'll take a note from anyone. Yeah.
All right.
I will. I would take a note from anyone.
Or a tag. Or some help.
Absolutely. Or, but not, I don't let women on my stage. I don't take that. No.
That's tough. That was a tough one.
Yeah, that is tough. Okay, so I'm going to jump back to counseling. You told me how to say it. I forgot.
I have my master's in counseling.
Master's in counseling. So you're working. So this whole time you finished school and then you started working.
I became
as
a school
counselor.
teacher.
You were a school teacher too.
I became a school teacher.
Okay.
So I taught English, secondary English. That's a calling too. You get called into whatever age group you're supposed to teach. So I did that, and it was like, oh, I could be a principal or I could be a counselor. And with my background, I was thinking, I was going to therapy, so going to get my counseling degree became cheaper than getting the therapy done. So I did that. I just shifted and I would talk to I have so many professors I'm still in touch with that we had a good time together.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I love that.
Yeah. So in counseling, I'm here in Texas, and it's probably national. It's KCREP certification. So I'm certified to be an LPC. I just didn't take that test.
Okay.
But I can. I took the school counseling test. See, but I was told you'd have to put up a shingle. You'd have to do all these things, and stick with what you're doing. You can retire eventually, which is what I would like to do, so I could go full time into comedy, even because I've never been able to do that due to having kids. I got divorced. And you know who Leanne Morgan is, right?
Yes, of course. We love her.
Okay. Yeah. Leanne Morgan was in San Antonio for a while. She was just starting out, just adorable. She does talk like that all the time, right? And she said to me, she goes, Kim, I'm sorry you can't do all the things I'm doing. Because she was going to the festivals and she was getting, doing some really great things. She goes, because my husband's rich and you just can't do what I'm doing. I went, oh, I did.
That is, I think that is a struggle. And I talked to guests on this podcast about that, is like, at what point can you just say, well, I just want to do comedy. And like, I think there's different factors. Like there's like, well, I love being a veterinarian. You love your day job, but then it's like, I always think about, well, the 10,000 hours, you have to do something for 10,000 hours to be great at it. So then I'm like, well, I'm old. I don't have that much time. And so like, I think I struggle with that. And then there's just the bottom line economics of, you're a single mom and you have kids and you can't just go, well, I'm just going to do comedy now, because that's just not going to work,
I had been poor before, dirt poor.
Right.
And I was never going to be poor again. I just got me skull. I'll never be poor again, And my dad had told me something. I wish he would have said you would have been a good, great rocket scientist. But what he told me was, teachers, I've never seen a teacher destitute. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's what I should do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, counseling it's been fun. But as far as being full time, doing the comedy thing, even though I wanted it so bad, and one of the young men that was there, I say young man, he just turned 50, and he was young when I met him, and he told me this, which was so cool because I got some feedback to what someone thought of me in 1997, 98, right? And he said, you were so professional and you were so driven. He goes, I learned from you that you kept everything as a business and you worked really hard. And at the time, I would get off stage sometimes and I'd go cry. I didn't let people see it. It was like, I'm terrible. What am I doing? But I was so driven to do this. And like I said, some good things happened and we can talk about that. But I needed medical. I needed dental. And I see comics who have kids and they're just, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's very, very difficult. And I get that we're driven. So the way I dealt with it is I'm not going to not go without insurance. I'm not going to do that. I'm just not. And so I didn't. I played it safe. And how many podcasts have I heard where people say, follow your dreams, just do it.
Yeah.
Just jump off into the water and swim and don't worry, God will get you.
Yeah.
Well, I've been there already. I've been there. It's really tough.
Yeah. The universe may catch you, but it may not. And the healthcare is actually interesting because I'm, up in Canada, so we don't think about that because we have socialized medicine. So that's not a factor, but there's also just, housing, like just space, food, like, it's
clothes, shoes.
Yeah. So I struggle with that myself. And I'm continuing to work as a veterinarian, like 60% of the time. I've decided that's good.
Nice.
And then I can sort of have time, but it's not like I'm making bank doing my comedy or this podcast. I don't care because I love it. So that's fine.
Build it. Yeah. Build it. And they will come and just keep doing that. Well, I believe this is when I talk about how, people say, oh, you need to just follow your dream. I believe this. I'm number one. I'm not dead yet, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm a strong believer in God, very strong, because there have been things that have happened. I'm going, oh, that was nothing. That's amazing. So I'll tell you a real quick story.
Yeah.
So way back I think this was like 1999. So I used to have real long hair. I'm trying to grow it and I'm trying to do it now. Demi Moore even said, even though you're older, you can have long hair. Okay. No. But I had really long hair and I'd wash it in the morning and I'd drive in my minivan to school, and I had first period off this particular year. And I'd drive every day and I'd comb out this long hair and I'd have the window down or whatever. And I listened to the same radio station every morning, and it was Sonny Melendres in the morning, and he was with Megan Bishop. And so I listened to them. They had the music I liked. Plus I'd been on a few times as a comic. So, there was connection. And every day they would come up and say they were doing this contest. And they said whoever won the most money for Rosie O'Donnell's charity would win a trip from San Antonio to New York. And you would get to announce Rosie O'Donnell and you'd get to meet her. In 1999, 98, that's when she was at the top of her game. This woman was on the cover of Time magazine. She was neck and neck with Oprah. She was called the Queen of Nice.
Okay.
She was one of the hottest afternoon shows next to Oprah. So big. And plus she's a comic, right? So this was really big. I ignored it. Didn't pay attention to it. Didn't pay attention. And then one day I'm driving to school, same thing. I'm running probably 5 minutes late. That's also my middle name. And I'm going and I'm listening to this whole thing about Rosie O'Donnell. Yeah. It's been going on for I'd say about 6 weeks. And I'm telling you, I heard in my car a very, very loud voice. And the voice said, "You will win this." Twice. "You will win this." I became so scared because it was so thunderous. I pulled off on the side of the road. I had to get out of the car because I was shaking so bad. Now, I spent 3 years working in a mental institution, and I've been around schizophrenics who are extreme and people who are in their extreme psychosis. And the first thing they hear usually isn't, "You're going to win a prize."
Right. Yeah. No, it's usually
kick a puppy.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not anything positive.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm going, that wasn't in my head. That was outside of my head. What the heck is going on? I mean, I was shaking. I get in my car, and like I said, I had first period off. So I went and I called Megan Bishop, whose real name is Beverly. Know her now, worked with her. She and I are friends. I called her and I said, you have a psychic on this show every now and then. I said, forget this. I got this straight from God. I'm going to win this. Put it down. What date is this? Kim Kerley said she's going to win. I said, write it down, seal it in an envelope, because you're going to read that one morning when this is over. And she says to me, okay, like whatever. And she said, Kim, today's the last day to pick up the packet.
Okay.
And I said, well, what time do you close? And 6 o'clock. I can be there. So I went right up, picked up the packet. It was over in 5 days, and I won. So I had to raise money.
And you raised...
I just walked around my school, and I told them that God told me I was going to win, and you could help participate in this if you wanted to, because I don't know if God's telling you to give me the money, but if he doesn't, I'm going to win. I mean, I was so convinced. So I did everything I could. I asked who I could to raise money, and I had like 5 days to do it. Turned in the money to the radio station, and I think I raised like $486. And I thought, well, you know what? This isn't much, but I'm going to win. So it was in the morning, I turned it on. They announced the winner. I wasn't even surprised. My thing is, why is it the one time I hear God's voice is to win a contest? So then we fly up to New York. It's really cool. We're in line to see Rosie O'Donnell. I'm from Texas, and she had just adopted her first child. So I had this basket, and I had my headshot, and I had a video of really bad comedy because it was only 3 years in. And I had, chips and salsa and all the things that she'd like. And I had it wrapped up, and I carried it with me on the plane, carried it with me to the show. And you know what? We get there, and they said, who are you? What? They didn't know. The NBC affiliate in San Antonio did not know I was coming that day. They dropped the ball.
Oh,
they didn't let them know in New York. All of the arrangements were made. I had the flight.
Yeah,
I had the hotel.
Yeah.
They didn't know we were coming. So Sonny Melenders was there, and Sonny knew the producer. And I guess that's how they got all this together. And so I got to meet her after the show, but I didn't get to introduce her. So I was never on national TV, which I had done. I had done radio hits for it. The news came out to meet me. I had a write-up in the newspaper that this was all happening. And I get there, and Donna Shalala's there. She was in Clinton's cabinet, right? So here's Donna Shalala. And I'm sitting there, I go, if this was an I Love Lucy episode, I would have her tied up in a closet.
Yeah.
But that's a federal offense, so I better not do that.
Oh.
Yeah. So afterwards, and when Rosie O'Donnell walked out, she looked up right at me, and I almost just started crying. I was I was a little disappointed. But here's what I get from this. I don't think that story's over. And I don't think my time is up. So for some that's part of the strange reason why I keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep doing. I said at one point, I'm going to stop. I'm not, I should just write. I love to write. I used to have a blog called The Right Side of 50, but then I lost it. But I did print everything before I lost it. And I used to do that all the time. I had a really strong following. And I went in my backyard and said, I think I'm just going to stick with the writing. And that day I get a phone call to do the Dry Bar comedy special. They fly you up and you do the special, you do 2, and then they were supposed to splice some of it together, but they didn't. I was so nervous. Yeah, so doing that was such a gift. So I to me, that's another sign. No.
Yeah.
No.
But you got correct me if I'm wrong. And maybe it's even more. You got over 15 million views of your special. Is that right?
So total. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of into this because I do get paid on they pay us now. It's really great.
Okay.
But overall, like the special itself was all of the clips. You know, when
Okay.
it first came out, I kept a count. So I was up to about 20 million views with all the different things that came out. So it was nice. You know, it was
not bad.
It was a good hit. It was fun, and it's something that people. I would get phone calls from people, and they say, "I'm in a hotel in this state, and you're on my TV." You know, so
Yeah.
Dry Bar, you know, did things on streaming. So that was pretty cool. But like I said, it was like the day I said, I think I need to shift. You know, I'm getting older. I don't know what I can do. And it's no longer in comedy. It's no longer, you know, oh, someone's going to come out from ABC, NBC, or CBS. And at this point, any of the, you know, the cables, I don't know what you call them, like Netflix or whatever. They don't go anymore and say, you know, I'm going to build a show around you. It's a little different, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to do the same thing that artists are doing that sing. You know, you've got to build up online podcasting and things like that and become a force that way. So I'm hoping I can maybe shift along those lines to get,
Yeah.
so I can still eat. But I do get to retire in a year. So I'm, you know, that's what I'm going to do.
You're going to retire from. So are you a counselor in a school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And our number one word in the school is anxiety.
So you're busy, probably.
Anxiety is a big one. Yeah. Yeah.
So you're helping like teenagers. Is that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm sure that keeps you busy. It's funny what you said about your dad, because I love what I do. I love being a veterinarian. Absolutely love it. But I was like a kid who wanted to be a vet since I was 6. And my dad was always like, that's good. It's a vocational ticket. It was the same thing as you. Like, you won't be out of work. You won't be out of work. And I was like, could we have shot a little higher? Like, what?
Rocket
Like,
scientist. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, no, I just was thinking about that because you see, I'm like, yeah, rocket scientist or like, I don't know, comedian with a Netflix special or yeah. So it's just, it's interesting, but I think it's that generation because my dad like lived through the Depression and stability, and he had some rockiness in his own career, and so having that like teacher, veterinarian, like a job was like, that's what you do. And my dad wanted to be an artist. Like he was a playwright and he wanted to do that, but he didn't.
So you're the nut that didn't fall far from the tree.
Yeah, but the nut who went like, and I mean, again, like I don't want anyone to think I'm not happy as a veterinarian, but it's just interesting.
Right.
You just get on the path. And I feel like there's the practicality of being on the path. And then you see some people who are just like, I'm going to swear. Is that okay with you? I know you're from the South. They're like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go do this. So I don't know. I'm doing that a little bit, but still in my own way, right? Like I went to college for 2 years to do comedy, but I still worked as a veterinarian, like because I was just, I don't know, it's just that practicality, and it's always trying to balance those two things, right? Of like, because I mean, you've had a lot of success.
You know, I've had some hits. You know, I got to be on The View back in the day when Barbara Walters was there, you know. And I did, I think it was 90 seconds of comedy. I ended up making like $8,000 back in the day. I mean, the money's there.
Yeah.
If you make it in comedy, oh my gosh. I mean, I got a taste of this. Like, oh gosh, this is great. You know, it's going to start pouring in now. That estrogen song I sang on ABC is just going to bring me some dough.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you were on The View, you did comedy. Did you get to meet anybody or were you?
Yeah. It was Joy Behar was there. Barbara Walters was there. Who was the other one that was still there? Oh, you know who was there? Jones. She was oh gosh, I can't remember her name. But then since then, I think those are the only two that I don't, anybody that's on there now, no. Okay. But it was way back in the day. And then I think Lisa Ling is a journalist. She was on there for a while too. So she was there that day. But it was a while back. And then in the green room, I got to meet Reese Witherspoon. That was kind of cool. And then this guy that was on The Sopranos, I can't remember his name. And I met Jackie Chan. So I'm just rolling. This is just awesome. Yeah. And, I'm hanging out in New York. And
that's comedy though, isn't it? Don't you think it's like up and like, I don't know. I feel like for my own journey, I have not been as successful as you, but like just, it's like one day you feel like, I don't know. I was in Manchester and I won this competition and like all these British people are coming to me. And I was like, I am like going to be famous in the UK. And then I like came back here and I did this really rural gig at a community center and they did not like me. And I was like, I am terrible. Like, it's just a roller coaster, right? Yeah. But that's cool. Okay. So you're on The View. Also, I don't know what the Mike Huckabee show is. You were on the Mike Huckabee show?
So Mike Huckabee was governor and he'd ran for president a while back. And his daughter is the governor of
it's like Huckabee
she's
Saunders, right?
She was the White House person for
Yep.
Trump for a while.
Yep.
So she's governor right now.
Okay.
But anyway, he's known for he's very conservative. So they saw my dry bar and asked me to come on. So I did that. I was very nervous about that. So understand that I'm not able to, because of my job, do the traveling thing. I will. I mean, I'll sometimes I'll fly out and do something. I'll do some shows in town. I've done, different things for, what do you call it? The homes. Okay, we have living arrangements here where like the only people that are allowed to buy the houses are 55 and older communities is what they're called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm a hit, and
Yeah.
those pay really well. And then, working some stuff. So, but the daily getting on stage and understand, it's so hard now. So if I want to work something out, do I want to go to an open mic? Do I want to do that?
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
No, I don't want to do that. It's just, I did that. There was a time, 4 years, I didn't miss a midnight show for 4 years. And understand, I was 40 years old by the time this is going on. And and we had a midnight show in San Antonio. There was one comedy club. It was River Center Comedy Club.
Okay.
And we had an afternoon show. We had a midnight show, and we had what we called an all-star show. And those were all shows that the local comics did. So we would bark people in. We would do anything, so the midnight show turned into a cult thing. We would have 350 people, and they would have to turn people away because every Saturday night at midnight, it became a thing to do in San Antonio. And that's how I worked out so much. And I learned, I wished I would have gone to, I did go to like one weekend comedy training thing, but it took me a long time to figure out just even how to walk out on stage because it's theatrics.
Yeah.
What kind of energy are you going to have? So I was I was angry. I still had that in me. And so walking out on stage and I get out there and it was hit or miss. And then eventually I learned to just relax and I was comfortable with my set. I'd written some pretty good stuff that was hitting pretty much consistently, instead of going, mayday, mayday, go to another joke, try to get them back. So I got to the point where when I walked out on stage, I was more myself. I was more relaxed. And I remember just looking out one night and everybody was looking at me in anticipation and they were excited and already had smiles on their faces. And that's when I knew I had the right energy.
Right.
And I know that I wonder
that.
if that can just be taught like sooner rather than later. So that's when I walk out on stage now, I know what energy I have. I know who I am and they pick up on it. And I'm going to tell you, watching other women, I always root for the woman because when you walk out on stage, it's like, you're going to be funny. Because in comedy, I've been told by more than one man, women aren't funny.
Yep.
They're not funny. Todd Glass told me one day, you can look up Todd Glass. Todd Glass says to me, he looked at me and he said, you will never look out at an audience and see people buckled over in laughter. You will never experience that because women aren't funny. And one night, there was like people, especially the guy in the front row, and his wife was hitting his back. They were laughing so hard. And I was looking around and people were laughing and that guy was buckled over and someone over there was buckled over. And I just wished I had a camera
to show
because I would have found Todd Glass and I would have sent that to him.
That's another crazy thing to say. What a crazy thing to say.
Well, comedy, that it's a dog eat dog world out there.
Yeah.
It's not easy. I mean, anybody that's in comedy. Yeah. So when I got my first opening gig, you get to open now. You're going to open for us. The manager of the comedy club calls me in the back. We're going to use you. We think you've done great. You've developed some, a really good show. We're going to use you as an opening act. Okay. And he says to me, his name's Scott Garrett. Love Scott. And Scott Garrett looks at me. He says, Kim, all comics are crazy. Ha! And I looked at him like, but I'm working on myself. And understand this, I am working on myself. You aren't a homeless girl coming through life and not trying to figure out life. There's so many things. I was doing dream therapy. I was reading. I'm going to church. I'm doing all the things I'm trying to do, And he's telling me I'm crazy. And I don't know, I'm not. Flash forward, I'm getting my counseling degree. And this particular class, Dr. Josue Gonzalez, love this man still. This was the class where you learn how to set up your room, set up a counseling session. So if you were to come see me, Sarah, I'd be sitting a certain way. I'd have my tissues would be close by. You would see the clock on the wall.
It's time to wrap it up.
That right. Anyway, so, and then it's, what questions to ask, how to move forward, listening to what's going on, taking the right notes. All those things. That was what this class was. So he says, this is what we're going to be doing in class. We look at the syllabus. And he goes, everybody look around. So we're all looking around. We're looking around. And he says, you know what? All y'all are crazy. And I was all excited because I went, yes, I am. I've made peace with who I am. I have a sign in my office that says a little weird is great. So
Yeah. I like it. I like it.
And people were like, oh, I can't believe you just said that. And I went, no. I was like thinking, no, it's true. Y'all are all nuts.
Yeah.
Welcome to my world.
Oh, that's amazing. That is amazing. So yeah, no, comics, I the one thing I find about comics, love comics, but they're, especially compared to my like science world, like things are just a bit of loosey goosey. Like sometimes I'm just like, I don't really know what's going to happen. You know, like the website isn't quite right, or this isn't, you know what I mean? Or like I show up and the person who's supposed to do the middling, they just didn't show up, and then they just grab someone else. And I'm like, this would never happen in veterinary medicine. Just never, ever, ever happen. So, but I've kind of just, you know, I just go, yeah, that's just how it is. Like I would be be too stressed all the time if I worried about it. Like, but yeah, it just happened again. I'm supposed to be middling, and I told people at work because they want to come. And then someone I work with came back and he's like, you're not on the website, you know?
Yeah, that's like, always a drag when you're not on the website. That's just,
yeah, but there's another guy there as a middle. So then I went back. I was like, "What's happening?" And they're like, "Oh no, you're middling." And I'm like, "Okay, cool."
Just show up. You'll be fine.
The thing is, that's probably what you just go, "Okay, I'll just show up and see what happens, I guess." And then I'll do somewhere between 5 and 25 minutes, I guess. That's perfect. Yeah, that sounds excellent.
Do what you feel. Have a good time. See you when you're done. Yeah.
So you talked about it a little bit, and again, this is just what you're comfortable with. But you were a morning show host in San Antonio.
Yes.
Number 2 show, fastest rising woman in radio.
That's what I was told.
And then not.
So
yeah, what happened?
Yeah. So getting the gig was kind of cool. I did this fundraiser in San Antonio, and then the night that we did the fundraiser, just a few hours of this thing, and I was like, hey Kim, can you come and do this fundraiser? You know, so and so can't do it, and we need somebody that's funny. So I'm like, sure. So I go to this really nice area in San Antonio, a country club, and some of the local San Antonio people are there. George Gervin was he was Iceman basketball. I was one of them. I can't remember all of Jesse James Leha was there. He's a boxer. So there was people there in San Antonio that had money. And at the time, we raised like $500,000 for juvenile diabetes. So that was the night. And so the person I was working with was an anchor. He was a news anchor. And I had just met him, but we just jived. We just had the best time. You know, I mean, what am I doing? Anything that I get when the door opens, I'm like, here we go. Let's see what happens. Yeah. So after it was all over, we sat down and I had a glass of wine with him. And I looked at him, I said, there's a lot of money in this room tonight. He goes, oh yeah. And I said, do you think they know I don't have any money? And he spit his wine. He started laughing so hard. They know you have nothing. They all know what each other has. And he's talking. But anyway, he said, are you interested in television? You should be on TV. And you know what I did? I said, oh, I'm not ready for TV. Oh gosh, that was the dumbest thing. So he goes, well, you know, radio, there's a opening in radio on the morning show. It was KZEP. It's a classic rock station. And man, classic rock's right at my alley. He goes, I'm going to call the manager. I'm going to get you in and you can get in to interview. And I ended up getting the job. And I quit teaching.
Wow.
And I said, this is it. I'm not going to teach. I'm going to be a big radio star. And so what is it? You go and you have a conversation in the morning. And we just did so well. We did great. There was another radio station in town that was doing well. This was more of the shock jocks, right? They were more like the Howard Sterns.
Okay.
And they were a little dirty. They were sexual. That's not who we were. We were the hey, we give away Harley Davidsons. We're cool, but we're a little bit older. You know, we weren't the shock jocks. But we were number 2 and we were solid number 2. So they do this whole thing and they bring in consultants and they do all this research and they spend this money on this research. And we have this big meeting and they said, Kim, we have not seen this with a woman. We've done this. We've done this for many years. We've never seen this with a woman. Everybody either hates you or they love you.
Right.
There's no in between.
Right.
They know the names of your kids. They know the name of your dog. They know where you live. They know, because we used to talk about all, you know, everything. And so the next day I was fired. I go in there and I was like, we need to talk to you. We're making changes. And I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, I was fired and I went home and they wouldn't tell me anything. I had seen a little bit of this coming because I had a producer on the show. He was an alcoholic and he would call me at night. It was a long story there. But the bottom line is they made the choice to fire me after this meeting where I was told that you're amazing. So I go home and I call them. I had one of the guy's numbers and I said, tell me what happened.
Yeah.
And he said, well, it's a radio station, but it's geared towards men and they don't want you to be the strong voice. They want 2 men on there. So they put the guy that was the producer, the guy that was an alcoholic, they put him with the other guy, my ex co-host, and they plummeted to number 12, 13, 14. So pretty fast. And then they asked me to come back.
You're kidding.
Yeah, they asked me to come back. I came back because I loved that job, but they put me with a new guy, and the new guy, it didn't work out. So I ended up getting fired from that. And I had this gig where I was the MC. So I was the MC of an award show in San Antonio. And I had just gotten fired. So I wore a red dress because that was the joke. I was like, hey, I'm needing a place to work. And so we had fun with that. And I was hired with Cox Radio after that particular thing. And so I worked at Cox Radio. And I don't know if you're familiar with Cox Radio. They're a very big chain.
Okay.
And so they're a big chain. And so I learned production. I got to do that. But then I had the realization that there's no money in radio.
In radio, yeah.
No. Okay. There's no radio, and they don't want radio stars. The only way, you can syndicate, but look at, they tell you what to do, tell you what to say, tell you how to think now. And these big conglomerate, is that it's not working. That's why podcasts are so strong and doing so well. And people are listening to that because you know what, you're getting people's truths. You're getting people real conversation. You're not getting sound bites, so. Yeah,
that's
so
why
I got
co-medicine is amazing. No, it's true, actually, though.
It is. It is why you're amazing.
You can say anything you want on my podcast. Yeah, you can swear if you want. I know people from the South. I lived in Florida for 5 years, so I know that you probably won't.
Oh, I have salty language at the show I just did with all these men. Oh, yeah. All these men. I'm the only one that dropped an F-bomb. But you know what? It was proper. It was where it needed to be. Sometimes, and it was used right.
Yeah, sometimes you got to just put it in. You just have to drop it in there. Okay, yeah. I want to talk a little bit. You alluded to it a little bit. I just want to talk a little bit about miracles because I think it's really cool and sort of like how you believe in them and like how they've kind of affected you. And I know you're writing a book about it. So I just want to hear kind of your take on miracles and how it's affected your life.
So I believe I have definitely been protected, and I pray that I wished everybody was protected to the degree. Sometimes I just feel like, gosh, it's amazing the things that I've been through and the things that have happened, and I just know God's had a hand in that. So I have a really spiritual base, but I have a Baptist background. Now, if you know anything about Southern Baptists, you don't dance, you don't drink. And, I kind of swayed from that a little bit because all of the don'ts took away from what am I supposed to do to have a relationship with God? Because, let's face it, he said, do you have a relationship with Jesus? I said, well, I set a place at the table every night. The guy never shows up. It's really hard to have a conversation with him. You got to be really quiet and listen. Oh, it's hard to do.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know how to have these relationships, right? I wanted to know how. So I really spent some time doing that. And I did the dream therapy, and I did the where I would ask God questions and I'd pray all the time. And I was doing this, and I was working at the comedy club, and Eddie Gosling was working at the comedy club. And Eddie Gosling is now a writer, and he's a stand-up comic, and he's very, very successful. He wrote for Tasho recently. He works for other shows, and Eddie was a really, really big guy. He had been in the military, but he gained weight, and he was, like 500 pounds.
Oh, like really big. I thought you meant big in comedy, but you mean
no,
big.
So he was big in size. So one night before I was doing I'm setting that up. So I'm doing my dream thing. I'm asking questions. And one thing is like, Lord, should I even be doing this? Because, it's tough. And what do I even write about? What should my persona be? I'd ask those questions. You ever ask those questions, Sarah? What should I do? Who am I on stage? And so I'm going through all that, and sometimes I fall asleep and I get maybe an answer. Well, this particular night, the dream that came, it was so cool. It's like flying. I have to work for a month just to get a flying dream. Do you ever fly in your dreams?
No, I've never flown in my dreams. No.
Best. I have flown in San Antonio, Texas. We have the hemisphere. I have flown around the hemisphere in my dream, and it felt just as real as if I was doing it. I'm telling you, it's amazing. So this particular night, I'm in a field, and there's all these women, and we're all dressed in white. So I would go up to them and I said, what am I supposed to write about? What am I supposed to do? And they say, oh, you know. And so at the end, I wake up the next morning and it's like, I still don't know. But what I learned from that was I was supposed to write what I know. Well, then the next night I have this dream, and I'm a successful writer. And Eddie Gosling is standing next to me, but he's thin. He's not the same size of what I know him as at that time. And he's thin, and he has on this suit, and I think it was a pinstripe blue suit, and it was nice. It was very nice. And we're at the same table at it was like an event where people would come by and say, what have you done? And sort of like we were selling something, but we were both successful writers. And so the next day, and understand this, Eddie and I don't have long conversations. He was a comic who was traveling, and I was a new comic, and I would look at him like this. There he is. because he's amazing, right? he's so funny. I just want to go up and touch him. I touched Eddie Gosling, and he was just amazing, and he still is. But anyway, so he had been on the road, and I hadn't seen him in forever, and I'm at the comedy club, and I went, "Hi, Eddie." And he goes, "Hi, Kim." I said, "So, Eddie, what have you been up to?" He goes, "Oh, I just started a diet today." So I went, "Oh, I better tell you something." So I told him my dream.
Okay.
I told him that you were a successful writer and you were skinny. So this is so I told him the whole thing. I said, I was there too, so I'm going to be a successful writer. So that's what I dreamt. And I said, I've been doing this thing. It was just so strong. I mean, I remember just the detail of the suit. So flash forward, when I had gotten fired from KZEP the first time, I was depressed in my room watching TV in the morning. Watching Comedy Central. Maybe something will make me feel good. I go on to Comedy Central, and there is Eddie, and he's on Comedy Central with a special. And he comes out, they say, Eddie Gosling. He walks out, and he's thin. And I started to cry.
Wow.
I was so happy for him. And the other thought was, well, maybe I still have a chance.
Could be a writer.
Yeah. So that night I did have a show. I went to the River Center Comedy Club. I had a show. I was featuring that night. I get there, and Scott, who's the manager, he said, Eddie's mom and dad are in the audience, and they want you to say hi before the show starts. So I walked over to him and said, hey, how's it going? Now, understand this. I had never met them before.
Yeah.
I didn't know who they were. I knew who Eddie was. I think he was great. Eddie Gosling, that's how I was. I said, oh, I saw Eddie this morning on Comedy Central. And she goes, yes. And I said, he's so thin. And she leaned over and she goes, and he just bought the suit.
Oh.
I love that story.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And he is a successful writer. So I'm holding on to that. The Rosie O'Donnell, we're not done with that miracle. And I'm holding on that.
Rosie, we're going to tag Rosie. Rosie, Kim was robbed. I think we need to make it right. Kim was robbed of her. She raised $486 and she was supposed to get to meet you.
That was like $500 in 1999 terms.
I'm like $1,500. Come on, Rosie.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That is very cool. My dreams, you just asked about my dreams. I have dreams. So like earlier dreams were always that there was a couple of classes I didn't go to in pre-vet.
Oh.
And then I have this real strong memory of this really beautiful woman. She was a model. Like her summer job was going to Germany to be a supermodel. And then she was back in Saskatchewan in pre-vet classes with me. And her name was Christine. And she was just gorgeous.
And she's sitting there in class.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just like stunner. Right?
It's all slow motion.
I was like, hey, Christine. But I never went to organic chemistry. I never went to math, but she was in my class. So I'd see her in the library. I'd be like, hey, like, when are I would just ask what's going on? When are the tests? But it was very risky business. Anyway, I dreamt about having exams that I didn't study for. So that's like always like being unprepared for an exam, But now it's switched to being on stage with nothing. Like that's my...
You've had that dream?
Yeah, it's the same.
You don't remember anything?
Yeah, I don't even know what I'm doing. Or like I did a solo show this summer and I haven't done it since August, but my dream is that I have to go do it now. And I'm like, I don't know it. I don't remember it. Yeah, so that's my... I don't know. I'm telling you that because you don't need to analyze.
They're ambition dreams. That's an ambition
really?
dream. So it's when it's the same one. Like if you go to school and you can't remember your locker number, you have to take a test, but you can't remember where it is. And or I never even went to that class, and I have to take a test today, or else I'm going to fail. Those are ambition dreams. Those dreams are your drive. So you're driven.
Yeah.
So it's throwing up at night at you.
Okay.
Take this.
Interesting.
But I've had the same dream where it's a reoccurring dream where I go out on stage and I forget and I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm trying to get someplace really important that has to do with entertainment and I can't get there. So one night I just had that dream and I was performing the night after the dream and I said, I'm so sick of this dream where I walk out on stage and I can't remember a thing.
Yeah.
Nothing. And so I went out there and I was, hey, Kim Kerley. Okay. So I get on stage and I told the audience, I said, we're going to do this. It's called an earworm. Have you ever had a song stuck in your head and you keep singing it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a small world after all. You're welcome. So if you sing that over and over again, the only way to get it out of your head and to keep repeating it is to actually sing the song out loud. And it's called an earworm, and psychologically that will squelch it. Okay. You won't have it anymore. So it's called an earworm. So I thought, well, maybe I'll do the same thing. It'll work with these dreams. So yeah, so I'm gonna act out this dream for real. So I told the audience, I said, this is the deal. And I told him a little bit, and I said, I'm gonna have him reintroduce me. I'm gonna come out and I'm gonna act like I don't know anything and that I forgot everything. And you guys don't laugh. You sit there and stare at me, go, oh, what the heck? So they did it, and I'm looking around, and I got uncomfortable. I wanted to get to the point where I was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then when I finished, I went, okay, enough. And then they all started laughing, and it's like, okay, cool. We've had our moment of tension.
Yeah.
But I still had that dream since.
Yeah.
So it didn't work.
Oh, I like that you tried to cure the
Don't
dream.
do it.
But anyway, yeah, I don't have dreams about flying. I don't really have premonition dreams. I dream about like
sunshine,
like animals. I dream about like my dog who passed away. And I think they're visiting, and other people in my family who've passed away. I think when they show up in my dream, I'm like, oh, does that sound crazy?
It's so fun.
I'm like, oh, they visited.
Isn't that wonderful?
They came and had a visit. So
it feels that way, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, it absolutely does. It absolutely feels that way. Okay, so you also have you have so many things. It's amazing. You have an album. Do you know her?
Well, that's the Spotify. That's the dry bar. So it is.
Oh, that's the dry bar.
So,
okay.
Yes. So they distributed it through Spotify and Amazon and different areas where you can just listen to it. Okay. And it's also it'll be on Sirius sometimes, right? They'll put different artists on there. Okay. So that's pretty cool,
It's awesome. All right, everyone, check out. You can go on Spotify and then you can look for this album. It's called Do You Know Her? And we are going to jump to a clip on one of my favorite things to write jokes about. We're going to talk about menopause.
That's the reason why women don't have babies after menopause, because the eggs that we did have left were pretty much hard-boiled at the first hot flash. Over. Done. So I wrote a song about it, and we're gonna sing it together because y'all are a fun group tonight. It's called Estrogen, and it's sung to the tune of Yesterday by Paul McCartney. You'll know your part, right, guys? You know that song. Everybody knows this song. So you'll know your part. You gonna do this with me? Yes? Yeah! You're a fun crowd. That's why. We're gonna go out after this. Yeah! Okay, here we go. Estrogen, my ovaries make it only now and then. Look, I'm getting grandma's bearded double chin. Oh, I believe estrogen. Yeah, all right. Suddenly, I am twice the girl I used to be. I don't want a hysterectomy or hormone replacement therapy. Why do I sweat in my sleep, have weird dreams? I couldn't say. I say lots of things wrong, and now I long for estrogen. Estrogen, yeah. My ovaries make it only now and then, and I am getting a hot flash again. Big emotional ending. Oh, I believe in estrogen. Oh, yeah, that was good. That was good. This guy in the front, like, I don't want to sing this song about your ovaries. It's making me uncomfortable. You have a mother, now you know what she's going through. Sing her that song and put her to bed. Oh, I believe in estrogen.
That was so great. Thank you so much. I love when women, it's getting more and more. I like when women talk about menopause. I like when women joke about menopause. Can you talk a little bit about that? Why do you like to make jokes about that? And we're like, I mean, it may be the same as my answer, but I just would love to hear your perspective.
Yeah, well, that goes back to the dream I had. What am I supposed to write about? What am I supposed to talk about?
Yeah.
Write what I know. What I know is me and my own experiences. And going through menopause was HE double hockey sticks, man.
Yeah.
It was tough.
Yeah.
It was, and night having hot flashes was like the bubbling cauldron of self-regret. I'd be up all night thinking, you ruined your children. You said this when they were 3. And it was just horrible. And and it didn't end. And then I finally get on hormones. I go to this doctor, I get on hormones. Yay, I'm on hormones. It's working. And then she says, you can't be on hormones after 5 years because it causes cancer, which, by the way, that is egregious information and not true. It was built on one person's study, and they said they didn't do it. They just kind of threw it out there.
And they were men.
That is not true.
They were men.
And it was men.
Yeah.
So I'm on natural hormones at this point. So I go get that pod put in. But yeah, it was difficult. And I'm Italian, and it's like, okay, I look like grandma now. I've got the chin hair going. I got to take care of this stuff. What the heck is happening to me? It was so bad. Yeah. So I wrote a song about it.
Yes. Yes. It's amazing.
That was the estrogen song, and that's why I got on The View. Yeah.
Amazing.
It was before that song. I wrote that song before the vagina monologues was a thing.
Wow.
Yeah, it was way before that.
Okay.
So I wrote that, and it's sung to the tune of Paul McCartney. But it's a true story. A true story is I gotten my nails done, and I got the mood nail polish. Mood nail polish was really big. Mood rings were really big when I was a teenager in the 70s. Yeah. You put it on, and they changed color with your mood. So there was this mood nail polish. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. So I got the mood nail polish put on, and literally every finger on my hand was almost a different color. And I thought, this is
menopause.
I don't even know how I feel. I don't know how I feel. I don't know what I'm thinking. It was so bad. And you get fuzzy thinking. I forget stuff. And it was just not, to me, it's just not, it's hard.
Yeah.
And I say, it's like, if the egg thing, you can't have children after you start hot flashes because all your eggs are all hard boiled at that point. It's not safe. You can't do that. It's over at that point. So.
Everything is cooked. Yeah.
But you're still a woman, and you're saying, I went through menopause, but I'm still pretty.
You're beautiful. You're beautiful.
Stop. Go ahead. Keep saying it.
Yeah,
Go
you're
ahead.
beautiful. You're beautiful. The people who, so this is, mostly audio, except for the YouTubers.
Well, I say it pretty. It's I don't mean it. So it's the low self-esteem. I'm not really believing.
I believe it.
I just got Botox yesterday. Like I said, as this goes on, if whoever can see, I may tightening as the it may be tightening as the time goes on.
We forgot to mention that. I've been watching what's happening.
Hey, her smile's not quite as long. Yes. Crow's feet are starting. It was yesterday. Do you get Botox? Now,
I don't. Personal. Do you want to hear my Botox joke?
Sure.
I have never done Botox, but I am Bo-curious.
I can take you there.
I'll come visit you. Yeah, I had a friend, actually a really good friend of mine when I was faculty at University of Florida. Like, I left Florida, but I think if I hadn't, I would be her Botox buddy because she really wanted me to go with her.
She likes it.
She's like, we can go together. I was like, I don't know. And yeah, I think I would have been definitely, she would have dragged me at least once.
Yeah.
She was,
I'm the next thing is I'd like a little bit of this. So I'm going to wait until I'm 65, which is within the next few months, and see how it goes.
65? Yeah. Are you joking?
I'm 64.
How is that even
I'm
possible?
64 years old.
That's not possible.
Oh, you're so sweet. It's like we should be sisters. So I'm just going to get this done because I heard it last, 10 years maybe. And I was like, if I can get to 75, I'm good.
But what are you going to, what is this? I don't even know what this means.
I want to pull it up.
Oh, we're going to lift. We're tucking it. We're doing it. Okay.
I want to lift. Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
I think people should do whatever they want.
That's right.
That's what I think.
That's right. I used to write for this thing called Vibrant Women, and one time I wrote about, getting the Botox and things like that. And this one woman wrote this,
yeah.
You're putting terrible things in your body, and that's bad, and it's this and that. And I said, hey, this is my experience, but it's horrible. And she just kept coming at me. I'm like, oh gosh, I was the first Karen probably that was birthed that day.
Well, I don't understand the need to do that. Like, don't do that then. Like, don't get Botox if you don't like it.
You weren't going to be able to change me at that point. I liked it.
I think women should.
I just don't like the procedure.
Oh,
needles.
The needles
close to your eye.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of needles, but it hurts.
I don't think we should be telling other people,
what
to do with their hair, what to do with their face, what to do with their body. Like, let's just let people do what they want. If they think that looks good, and if they like how they look and they feel good, great.
No matter what, no matter where I go to get my hair done, no matter what I pick, it ends up being 1976.
Oh, yeah. When you walk out, yeah.
I'm always going to be 1976. It's like, I'm going to do this. And part of me wants to try short hair eventually, and maybe I will when I'm 80. I don't know, but it's always... I messed up my bangs because I tried to cut my own bangs. Have you ever done that? Have you ever tried? Well, I just did it. I just did it. Yeah. Ruined them. Now I've got these funky bangs. But before it was looking really good. Had the Farrah Fawcett stuff going on. I'd curl my hair back. It looked great. And it's like 1976, always.
Oh, yeah. It looks good. I shaved my head during the pandemic. I shaved my head. I cut my own hair. Yeah. I just wanted to see what it looked like.
And
Not good, Kim.
there's not going to be a number. There's not going to be a rerun of that. There's not going to be another. I really like the way that went. I'm going to do that again.
I think my husband just wanted to see if I always had long hair. I just wanted my husband to see if I would really do it. And I was like, well, I've also wanted to see. I think some women with shaved head, like, I think you look good, actually. Like, your face is so symmetrical. And I was like, I just want to see what it looks like. And it was a pandemic. So, like, who cares? Like,
why not?
Who cares?
We're home.
It didn't matter. And so I just did it. But, like, if you're this blonde and you shave your head, you look like it's not good. I'll send you a picture later. It was a mistake. But
I love it. I love it.
I just didn't
You're
care.
an adventurer. You are a hair adventurer.
It's like it was.
I am not.
It was a
It's
hair.
1976.
It was a hair.
It was a hair. Boom.
Boom. Okay, I have a question about how you write jokes. Like, what's your process? What do you? I mean, yeah, everyone has a different kind of process. So I'm curious about yours.
So that's kind of fun. So I have some that I've created. Like I sit there and I write it, and I have a glorified fart joke that's a Romeo and Juliet glorified fart joke. One of the first things I really worked on, and to this day it still works. I can still do it. I always get applause. I bow at the end. I mean, this is a glorified fart joke.
Yeah.
But that the humor when you're with people and other comics and you're talking, or even like when you're talking to people, sometimes you just say something that's funny, but you didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
Or if you've ever taught, that you're teaching, it's like something comes out and it's like, I didn't even know I knew that.
Yeah.
Where'd that come from?
Yeah.
It's the flow, right? And I believe that's our connection to our creator. I mean, there's just so much out there. It's like a download, boom. And when I'm in the creative mode, it's like when you're writing, there's a different mode. Your brain's on a different, level and how you're taking it in. So I love to be around people and I go, that's working. That's why being on stage is so important, to work things out.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I stick with what I know and I stick with things that happen. I go, I can make, funny. I can make that funnier or whatever. But for the most part, I have to do things on stage a few times before it flows correctly.
Yeah.
And like I have a fiance and he'll say, you do this, do this, do this. And I look at him with the glassy eyes like, okay, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Right. Because I don't like it's sometimes it works, but I do so much better when I just have to work it out. And so I did a joke that I had worked it comes, and a lot of it just comes from true life. It comes from a true story. And one day I asked him, because he really loves himself. He does. There's just no question that he just really knows he's special. I don't have to worry about that with him. So we both know we're both special. And so one day he said something about himself. And he's going on. I said, you know what? Say something nice about me. And he looks over at me and he said, you are such a better person since you've been with me. So we both start laughing. And then there's some other stuff. So I put things together that are about him, but there's exaggeration, but truth. So it's just real life stuff that tweaks. And for me, that works now. But I really feel like just being on stage, having the hits, you have to watch how many laughs you get and how fast you get. And I'm trying to really work on that because I'm more of a storyteller, but I don't think I should be. So I think just hit. So the show that I did the other night, I didn't have much time. I only had 15 minutes and I was scared to death because I'm thinking, how am I going to do this? Number one, 15 minutes. I'm used to doing 45, right?
Wow.
And I want to be funny. And so I also had people I worked with at school in the audience. So that with that.
Yep.
Oh, I was nervous.
Tough.
I don't usually get that nervous, but in my head, I'm just going, what am I going to say? How am I do? So I went out there and I just hit highlights. And it was one of the best shows I've had. And I said, I need to do that the whole time. That's what I need to do. So I learned something even just the other night. You learn something every time you go on stage, right? You walk off and say, well, that didn't work. Or that worked really well. And if when things are working, but on stage, have you ever come up with a joke and an idea that's just beautiful and you've kept and you don't know where it came from? That's the gift. And those are the gifts, right? And I love those gifts. I've got quite a few of those. I keep them. I use them a lot.
It is really cool when that happens. You're like, where did it even come from? Yeah, I don't even know. So the other thing I'm really curious about is that I know it's a big city. Like I know San Antonio is a big city, but a lot of comics, even in Canada, if they want to make it, they would go to the States, first of all, but then they would go to New York or LA. But it's like you've crafted a career in San Antonio. So like, I know maybe some of it was just family and necessity, or was it just like, no, I'm staying here and there's a great scene here, or was it both?
Yes. No, it was family and necessity.
Okay.
I had two daughters and I was a single mom. And so he was out of the picture pretty much completely for quite a few years, and I drug those kids with me to do comedy shows in the afternoons and stuff. My daughter met Chong, Cheech and Chong.
Yeah.
She got a bong from Chong when she was a sophomore in high school. I'm like, you're not going to use that. So in San Antonio at the time when I was coming up, and what I feel was such a gift for me, and again, I've been really, really lucky and blessed. San Antonio is a convention hub. And so all of the different hotels and the people in the different conventions would all come to the comedy club.
Yep.
We would always say, where are you from? Where are you from? And would be people from all over the United States and then some, Canada, Florida.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'd be from everywhere. So I thought that was cool because I was always getting a sampling. I just wasn't getting San Antonio people. I was getting a sampling of the country.
Yeah.
And then some. So now that's gone. There's not that much as far as conventions are concerned, and plus that comedy club closed, and there's another one that's open now. And I was the regular. I was there all the time.
Okay.
If they needed something, they called me and I'd go. So I always got to be on stage. Well, that was sold, and when they sold it, they went young and they went hip.
Okay.
And I guess I didn't fit. I've tried to get in. I'm like, no, I got some things going on. I want to walk in with, what's up, brother? But it's not working. I'll get there eventually. But down the way in Austin, Texas, that's where Joe Rogan is.
Okay.
So my thing is when I retire, I'd like to do more and maybe get my foot in the door there. I mean, I know Ron White. You know who Ron White is, right?
I don't. I should. I don't.
You don't?
No.
He's the one that holds the glass. Where's the scene of the crash? It's, look up Ron White.
I'll
He's
look
hilarious.
it up. I'll look it
He
up.
did a tour. It was the Redneck tour, but he's done a lot of things. So he started off and he'd always come to the comedy club when I was coming up in comedy, and I got to work with him quite a few times. And so very, very good. He's very, very famous now. Apparently not to you, but to most
sorry,
people.
Ron. Wait, I feel bad.
But Joe Rogan moved from Austin from California, and Ron was kind of instrumental in that happening. That it was like, hey, you should come to Texas, and Ron was already there. And so I had talked to Ron not too long ago, and I said, I really want to get in the green room and just hang out with the comics.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, call me. And I will. I'll do that. And he goes, well, I can't get you time because he hasn't seen what I've done. He's not paying attention.
Okay, well,
to me.
Ron, if you're not paying attention to Kim, I'm not paying attention to you.
He's not paying attention to me. But I said, I'm not worried about that. I'll get time. I'll take care of that when I get there. I'd like to start doing time. But I would love, I want to meet Joe Rogan.
Okay.
I got to meet this guy. So he's the,
All right.
So.
I got very trolled by Joe Rogan fans once, but...
You got trolled by Joe Rogan's what?
His fans. It might happen again. It was just a little joke. It was an innocent little joke about ivermectin and horses and on a veterinarian joke site, and it was very innocent.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it was a difficult time. I'll just say that. So yeah, no, I was like, whoa, his fans are rabid.
His fans.
Yeah. I don't it wasn't particularly offensive or anything. It was just, but anyway, yeah.
Well, that whole ivermectin thing, they tried to cancel him and he just came back stronger. I mean, to me, that the way he dug in and said, I'm just going to be me. I'm just going to be me. He didn't attack back.
Yeah.
Right. He just kept doing what he was doing. And it's really interesting. So yeah, ivermectin. You're like, but I'm a vet.
I'm a vet. It was like a whole vet. It was like a vet joke. It was like a vet, horse, Joe Rogan, ivermectin.
Did you get more views though? Did people, did it help your views? Because that's all that matters.
Oh,
that's
that's what we care about. I got a little scared. I'm the type of person, if I put I'll put something out there and be like, this is pretty funny. And if people come at me, a similar joke I made when the Queen died. And it was about, because I have a veterinary joke, and it was just about her corgis.
You're edgy.
Oh, so edgy.
Uh-huh.
I put corgis, and I was like, looking for a home, these corgis.
Aww.
And people were so mad. I was like, okay,
You're
first
heartless.
of all, the corgis will be fine. They're royal corgis. Let's just think that through. The corgis are fine. They're better off than most people, as
And
far
I
as,
love dogs. I'm a vet. I keep them alive.
It's just a little meh. Anyway, yeah, so that's the two times when I've been people just come at me. The Joe Rogan ivermectin joke, and then the Queen's corgis. And then I'll just be like, okay, I'll just
don't read the comments.
I know I'm too fragile to be on the internet, I think. So
you know what I do the same. I read the comments. It's like, oh gosh, because I did if you look at the dry bar special I did, I'm wearing a sequin dress. So I thought, I'm going to wear a sequin dress.
Yeah.
It was modest. I mean, it came up here. It showed nothing. It was a sequin dress, but it was a bodycon, right?
Yeah.
And I got comments like, "Who do you think you are wearing that dress? And what are you trying to do? Get a man?" And it was like
so random.
It was hundreds of them. I'm going, what is up with the dress? And so a lot of times what women comics will do, I don't know what you wear, and I've gone back to it kind of. I wear a jacket, and I started wearing women comic faces I got t-shirts of all these different women comics. So like I just wore Joan Rivers the other night.
Nice.
And I have a sequin jacket, and so that's my homage to, it's to them because I wouldn't be doing this and being able to do this if it hadn't been for them. So I'm developing a tour called a Woman of the Year tour. Well, if you come to my show, eventually what's going to happen is all the women in the audience get a Woman of the Year trophy, and I have a big trophy we can take pictures with, and I do give one away.
You give a
one
trophy?
away in my show. Yeah, I give a trophy away to a Woman of the Year.
Nice.
And so it's all a part of the little thing I'm developing.
No, your persona.
Little thing,
I love
that little comedy thing. So.
I like to wear a little shift dress. I like to wear a little dress. That's my.
See, that's perfect.
That's my. I guess because I feel like it's like a little performance. I want to get dressed up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Now, of course, I'm like I look like a male podcaster tonight. I don't know why. Well, anyway. Sorry, I should have dressed up more for you. You're like, what the hell? Like I look worse right now than I do at any given comedy show, and I don't know what happened, Kim. I'm sorry.
Years ago, I read this, and it's so true. Your look should be something that when people think of you, they think, oh, that's that lady that wears the shift dress who she was bald for a while.
Well, I do say, I sometimes will start out and say that this is my other joke. I don't know how this will go over, but I say people say I remind them of Ellen because like that's kind of like when I'm dressed up and my short blonde hair, comedian. And then people are like, like people just go, yeah,
she's
like,
me.
But then I say people say I remind them of Ellen, and then I say mostly because I'm mean. That's my joke.
I like it.
I feel a little guilty because I don't know the whole ins and outs of Ellen being mean, and I'm like, I don't actually think she's mean. Maybe she's mean. People can let me know if she's mean. I don't know. I think maybe she's mean, or maybe she is like a woman boss who. I don't know. Like, that's what I don't know. Because I think women...
Maybe she's a hurt soul and she just wanted others to feel her pain like she felt it.
Maybe she's really mean. I don't know. I just, I don't feel like compelled to defend her, but I also feel like there might be another side to the story because I don't know. I just think it's women who are going to be told, like, you're a bitch, you're a diva, all these things I've been called as a female surgeon, like, that a man would never be called, right? Like, I've seen...
So,
yeah.
The world of being a surgeon, the world of being an animal doctor, and you talk about, I should have been something great. To me, you're up here in what you did in life, and so I'm just thinking that people who choose this, when you look around at your cohort, the people who are that do what you do, y'all are probably a really interesting group of people.
Oh yes, we are. We absolutely are.
I bet the jokes, I bet they're corny and funny and you have a good time because, that's, I can just imagine. I've listened to some of your podcasts too, so I am coming from a background of listening to some of these people and go, these people are nuts.
Oh, it's very dark. Veterinarians are dark. Our sense of humor, it's a little bit of a dark sense of humor. Maybe you could probably analyze that. All of our problems. Yes. This is why.
What made you want to be a vet? I lost a puppy when I was 3.
No, I was just honestly. You talk about a connection or a calling. It was just like that's what I'm doing. Like honestly, it was just and like
you never veered from it.
No, until right now. Okay, well, I could talk to you for 3 hours. We could do Joe Rogan style here, but I'm going to let you go. But there's a question that I ask. It's the last question I ask everyone on this podcast because it's going to happen. Because I'm trying to get Ken Jeong to come on Co-Medicine, and I am just going to believe.
Say it out loud. Write it down. Like say it out loud. Actually, write it down.
It sounds like you have like a direct something going on with God. So I mean, I'll take all the help I can get.
Got it.
Wherever it comes from, I would love to have Ken Jeong on. So now you're not talking to me. You're not talking to our audience. You're speaking directly to Ken. Could you please invite him to be a guest on Co-Medicine?
Ken Jeong. This is day 503,094 of Sarah asking you to be on her show For the love of God, just get on her show.
Right?
This is getting sad. She asks everybody to ask you, help her be whole. This is something she really wants.
Needs.
And she's funny.
Come on.
She looks like Ellen a little bit, but she's nice.
Okay, well, Kim, I wish you were closer because I want to come see you, but maybe I'll be in
Have
San
some
Antonio.
coffee and talk.
I would love it. I'd love to be on a show with you. I would love to have you on.
Oh, we need to do that.
Starting a woman show up here. I would love to, it's going to be called Women's Monthly.
Oh, how fun.
I would love to have you on that. If you're touring around,
Please. Well, you know what? If I'm available during a certain cycle, you just let me know.
All right. All right. I love it. I love it. So yeah, please stay in touch with me. I love staying in touch with all my co-medicine guests. I've met so many wonderful
you.
people. You are one of them. You definitely are special. So thank you so much for being on Co-Medicine.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a blast. It's great getting to talk to you.
And that wraps up another episode of Co-Medicine. Thank you so much for listening. It is great having you here. If you have been listening to Co-Medicine from the beginning, thank you. If you're new to Co-Medicine, thank you and welcome to our Co-Medicine community. It is wonderful to have you here. I want to just give a shout out to Mark Edwards, who wrote the music for Co-Medicine. He's a comedian, an actor, a musician. He's going to be famous, you guys. And then you'll be like, is that the same Mark Edwards? And I'll be like, yeah, he's my friend, you guys. I know him. And he wrote the song. He's amazing. Also, big shout out to Dustin Bays. Thank you for editing the show and producing it. I appreciate you because I don't know how to do that stuff and I don't want to learn. Yes, it's willful ignorance, I think, at this point, but I'm so glad Dustin is here with me, helping me out with the show. And thank you for being here. If you enjoyed this episode, please like it, share it, do all the things, review it. If you're a sponsor or a potential sponsor, call me. That would be great. If you don't like the show, I don't know why you're still here. I just want to give a quick shout out to our season 5 sponsor, ScribeNote. ScribeNote is the first AI scribe in veterinary medicine, and it's amazing. If you are not using an AI scribe, you guys, you got to get on it. Check out ScribeNote. ScribeNote was founded in March 2023. It's a pretty amazing story. Katie is a veterinarian. Her brother Ryan, who's an engineer, was following her around at work, and he recognized, hey, you vets, you're so inefficient. You're doing everything twice, sometimes 3 times. Let me help you with that. I've used ScribeNote in the exam room. I'll just bring it into the room as an app on my phone and I just let the clients know, and then I can talk to it and basically tell ScribeNote what I'm finding during my physical exam. It records it, it summarizes it, it's all there. If I have to hop to another appointment right away, it doesn't matter. I don't have to worry about remembering it all. ScribeNote's got me covered. It's also been fantastic for me for when I'm calling a client and I need to record that conversation because, you know, we got to record everything now. If I have a 20-minute conversation, after that, I have another 20 minutes of typing. But now, no more because of ScribeNote. So thanks, ScribeNote. Everybody check it out. I promise it'll make your life better. They have already helped with 2 million notes to date. That's millions and millions and millions of minutes that we get back. Thanks, ScribeNote.